I've not seen this, so we're watching this together as friends on the internet.
And then there is the second perspective, which, as I mentioned, is not complete because the woman had limited time and there were technical issues. But I will read that next. If you just give me a second to drink some water. Let me check my messages because I have a bunch of messages. Okay. So perspective 2. She starts her notes off with some final thoughts. She says, I was not able to stop or rewind, so these are very off-the-cuff comments. The footage was a bit overwhelming. The house is so huge and cluttered that it is very disorienting to watch. Also, the officer we followed must be in charge, and he's all over the place. Okay, so I was wrong. It was not Officer Pomplin who was in charge. It was Officer Robbie who seems to be in charge. He sticks in one room for a few minutes and then shuffles between them, so footage is all over the place. However, we hardly see the kids at all, and the officers act very kind and patient with the family. The footage is taken on the 23rd of May last year, so this is 6 days or 1 week after the footage was taken, and starts at 9:11 a.m. It starts with the police car as the officers approach the house. There's a dirty cat house or tower filled with trash bags on the patio. Officer sees the kids inside the house and through the window. It takes about 6 knocks for the police on the door yelling search warrant before someone responds. One of Nick's daughters can be heard saying that Daddy told them not to answer the door. As soon as the door is open, it is a literal labyrinth of clothes and stuff. Hard to decipher where one room begins and another ends because every counter and table surface is covered in bottles, clothes, packages of food, and indicators of kids and their toys live there. There's not a lot of space to walk around the piles of stuff either. They find 2 females, April and Kayla, in the main bedroom. We have not seen them yet. The 6-year-old, stated by the officer, keeps saying something about her dad kept telling her not to let them in as the police begin to walk around the kitchen. Question mark kitchen, because the main room, kitchen, and dining room seem to be one big space, but again, it's hard to tell with furniture cues since everything is so cluttered and covered. Kayla shows up with her arms up, a very dry voice. She seems lethargic and out of it. There's some kind of room they walk in, the kids' room, question mark. It has rainbow IKEA shelf in it, and it is completely flooded with junk and clothing. This room is an actual hoarder-looking room. There are a few moments where the officer seems to be covering the camera with his hand. Hard to tell if it's on purpose or accident. Literally just shit everywhere as they move about the house. Just so many random piles of clothes. There's a stairway that has some kind of chair or love seat. It's half the size of a couch, just turned upside down at the bottom of their stairs that was clearly done before the cops showed up. Not sure what that all is about. They have a big fluffy orange cat though, and it is cute. So I consider that really remarkable. Apparently just at the bottom of their stairwell, there's like an upturned sofa or like a lazy boy. I'm just imagining, I literally have lied awake at night thinking about what this love seat is for. And I'm like, were they moving it from upstairs to downstairs and just threw it down the stairs and then gave up and left it there? Were they trying to push it upstairs and then gave up and left it there as it rolled back? Was it there at some point and then Nick kicked it over in a fit of rage and literally nobody bothered to right it ever again? Did a dog do it? Did a cat do it? And nobody bothered to fix it? Where did the seat come from? What does it do? And why is it there, chat? I would love to know your opinions. The garage is... Let me restart my setup real quick. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Someone was complaining about microphone line. My everything's been completely fucked up. Release the cat. That's right. Release the cat footage. 10 minutes in and we still have not seen Nick on camera. The garage is very cluttered. It looks like they just moved in with all the boxes and stuff. Given it is the garage, though, it honestly looks like the most normal room in the house. Lots of filled, packed luggage bags, too. So that is definitely Kayla's stuff. Or not Kayla, but April. The officer goes back upstairs and gets a quick, close glimpse of one of the counters, and we can see food wrappers, bottles, and a box of goldfish, parentheses opened. At 9:23, we finally are outside, and we see Nick meekly showing up in the driveway, looking pissed, like he's about to cry and arms folded. He has short cargo shorts and that shitty Jamaican-colored tank. That is incredible. It honestly is incredible to me. that the fucking Jamaican tank. We have the mugshot though when he's wearing this thing, but I forgot about that. I forgot that he literally gets arrested in his hedonism 2 uh, uh, tourism merchandise from Jamaica. Um, the cop goes back in and starts getting supplies and gloves to start drug testing stuff in the main bedroom. A lot of this part of the video is just the cops gathering supplies and talking about their attack plan on the house because it is so large and has so much stuff. We are in the bedroom to test. There's a lamp on the nightshade that just has a random tube balancing on top of it. That wasn't in the. I haven't read that one before. There's a lamp on the nightstand that has a random tube balancing on top of it. That is a fucking crackhead thing. She leaned over like high. I was like, I'm gonna balance, just like to muse or something. I'm gonna balance this fucking crack pipe on this lamp, and then they just left it there, and nobody ever touched it again. Um, very, very, very cluttered space with lots of shit. It's important to note that the bedroom is right there. So remember, these guys didn't talk, so but they both found it extremely noteworthy to leave this in the notes. That the bedroom is right there in the main hallway of the house. You could easily walk by it every day if you live there. I say that because all of the shit they had in their room would be very easily accessible to the kids. As you walk by the outside of the room, you can look right under the bed and the nightstands. The cops keep saying that the 2 adult females were found in the bedroom together. There's an incredible amount of bottles and makeup products and clothes, booze bottles and water cups on windowsills. The cops decide to go downstairs for a second and give a quick scan of the stream room. We get a closer, quick glimpse of the kitchen table just covered in stuff and loose documents. We enter the stream room, and oddly, the ceiling doesn't seem finished. It just has these latex brand sheets covering it. That is bizarre. I'm surprised the first person I mentioned that. I know what she means. They don't have like a proper like stucco ceiling or whatever. So it must be an extension. That's why it's past that weird library. We head back upstairs to the bedroom. We see shoes, garbage, and a lot of clutter at the top of the stairs. They seem pretty dangerous with all the junk around the stairs. At 9:31, we see him swab around the pillow and it tests positive for cocaine. We then see him pick up a black vial. It looks like a lipstick tube, and when he unscrews it, we see white powder. The officer responds with a, "Oh yeah." He takes a picture of it. we thank Deputy Kool-Aid for his commentary. The officer says there is a measurable amount of cocaine in the bedroom. At 9:33 in the master bedroom, a measurable amount of cocaine. They also find a large stack of cash, according to them. An officer states that Nick is asking about probable cause, quotation marks. He wants to ask questions on probable cause. The main officer we are following calls Child Protective Services to the house. A senior officer who has been talking to Nick says that Nick feels he's been hurt. Well, that's sad. I never at any point throughout this have I ever wanted to hurt Nick's feelings, to be clear. Nick's reaction to me getting the body cam footage or not getting the body cam footage has never been a determining factor, and if I will pursue the body cam footage. When calling family services at 9:37, the officer says we located a measurable amount of cocaine in her collar and is cut in a way that shows her cleavage heavily and her stomach is out. She has a huge piece of rock jewelry in her belly button as well. She looks and sounds so dry. Honestly, it does not even look or sound like her. She actually looks like a tranny, just very dry and unhealthy. It seems obvious that she knew that her being in the bedroom with Kayla and all the cocaine was or would get her in big trouble. Nick does look very pissed and arms still crossed before he is cuffed. The officer is very kind and heads back in the house to get her shoes, which are just haphazardly placed at the top of the stairs. As the officer heads back in the house, the fat orange cat gets out and the kids, who have been outside on the patio and porch the whole time, say it can go outside. We hear a kind officer ask about the kids about their pets to try and calm them down. They actually seem to be okay, no crying and in decent spirits. I think Kayla is with them until a woman from Child Protective Services comes. She is the one with the white and black striped shirt. We are back in the main bedroom to keep testing stuff. The officer we are following seems to be the head honcho as he moves in and out of every room and making calls and shots throughout it. So we are just walking around saying stuff. As he enters back into the bedroom, another officer mentions that they have found quite a bit of edibles in the room. They don't state what kind, but it can be assumed to be weed. If you did not know, they have edibles for shrooms, molly, and other mixtures that are actually easy and common to get, but also gummies just being accessible in the bedroom bothers me. Yeah, because I mean, it's like gummy bears. Like if you're a little kid and you walk into dad's room and he's got like this secret stash of like gummy bears, you're like, ooh, gummy bears. You might take a handful of gummy bears and then you're fucked. you're incapacitated. At 9:47, the officer finally tests the black vial, and it is an instant blue swab. Cocaine right there on the bedstand. You could see it from the hallway. So, this is like the biggest thing to me. It's like this room is in the middle of everything. Everybody can see it. Everybody walks past it. It's the main hub of the entire home. And right there on the cuck fridge, visible from the living room, is the cocaine. He continues to shuffle through the stuff on the bedstand, but the angle makes it difficult to see exactly what is being tested and touching on the stand. Then an officer tells him they found a rifle under the bed. The main officer heads out of the bedroom again. We see a female officer taking care of Kayla, getting her ready to be dressed and sent to jail with the others. We go back into the bedroom and we see a rifle in its box on the bed. The box is literally just a cardboard box, and the gun is just sitting in it with styrofoam, not locked up at all, and is a huge rifle. I remember that a point of contention was that they found 22 LR rounds inside the bedroom, but Rekieta was like, my gun's a 5.56. That 5.56 can't shoot those rounds, so it's not like we shot it inside the house or whatever. So that was the thing that he was really upset about, because the shell casings were entered into evidence as kind of like evidence that the gun had been fired, but both testimonies say that it's a bigger gun, so it's probably not a 22. It's probably a 5.56 AR. At 9:50, we hear an officer say that they found 2 spent casings in the bedroom, found a snort tube on the nightstand, test positive for cocaine, and it's the first piece of evidence bagged. There are some open drinks and tubes on the bedstand. The black vial is bagged up as evidence. 2 credit cards in the name of April are found, and both the snort tubes and the black vial were found right at the top of the cards. At 9:54, we hear them say that someone named Celeste had their medication right on the bed and stand literally next to the cocaine vial, snort tube, and credit cards. So again, this is consistent with both of them as well. They find his mother's prescription bottle of medication on the cuck fridge next to the cocaine, snort tube, and credit cards. So Mama Rekieta is either missing medication or giving medication to Rekieta and his hot wife. There's a white stuffed animal with a hairbrush at the foot of the fridge right next to it, so it doesn't seem like the kids come. It does seem like the kids come in here, given that there are a few toys around on the floor. There seems to be a small laptop also stuffed into the space between the bed and the fridge, and the light looks like it is on. There is no comment on this by any officer. The rifle number is, that's a serial, and has multiple magazines with it in the bedroom, says one of the officers. At 10, we hear them say they found even more edibles in the bedroom. They confirm again that the rifle was found under the bed. One officer pulls out a metal funnel or vial object that is found with another glass vial with some kind of white powder in it. This was found in the shelf under the TV in the bedroom. They test the white powder and there's a faint blue on the swab, and the officer indicates this means that it could be a mixture. He bags it for evidence. They find some weed pipes and test them for other drugs. An officer comments at 10:04 in frustration that there is just so much stuff in here. The main officer tells them to be mindful of needles, as he now believes it could be a possibility. They are just continuing to dig through all the shit on the floor. There is a big luggage case that he opens up and is completely packed with clothes and objects. The suitcase was already under a huge pile of clothes he pushes off of it. At 10:06, the officer decides to split up the team. He is leaving the bedroom to the others as he wants to go down and test Nick's studios. One of the officers calls it a little lair, LOL. They find April's purse in the bedroom. We head downstairs to the studio at 10:08, and we also cross paths with the Child Protective Services woman. There is a very cluttered and full library room right before you enter the studio. There are 4 monitors with the... 4? This is... Everything must be thrown out now. I've heard 4 and 5 monitors, so... Obviously, this is unreliable narrative testimony, chat. Completely unreliable. With the Joker painting tucked behind them out of sight, lol. They're still on it, and it looks like he ended some stream. Very full, cluttered shelves that the officers dig through. They oddly keep finding random $5 bills throughout his junk. It looks like some of them might have been dollar origami, but some of them were just stuffed into cups or pin holders. The officer tests a few things, but he finds nothing suspicious besides tons of bottles and trash that seem to be in there. One officer does find some baggie of weird stuff. They guess maybe cloves or pepper. The main officer thinks it might be a whiskey starter. So just homebrewing a little whiskey in the in the lair, as you do, as adults do, in your unfinished lair attached to your library. You're just sitting there with some cloves and pepper, doing a little moonshine to pass the time. Everybody's got to have a hobby. Then an officer brings a big metal safe down at 10:12, and they say they found it in the bathroom. We can see a dirty Ziploc baggie poking out of it. The officer says he will deal with it in a bit, and they go back upstairs. At 10:16, we were just rummaging through black shelves and testing random bits, but nothing is really down here. At 10:17, the officers with safes returns and ask for help with it, and they go upstairs to a small red bathroom on the main floor. I have to assume this is the main bathroom everyone uses when they don't need to shower, and the safe was found in here. The officer says it was under the sink, but the sink is one of those pillar sinks, so there is no bottom. I wonder if it was just tucked off to the side, ? Exclamation point. So she's wondering aloud if the main bathroom, that's not a shower room that many people would use if they're not using the master bedroom, was the one where the drugs are found. So that would be in plain view of the kids. I guess it's locked, so it's better than not being locked, like the drugs on the cuck fridge. But I mean, the baggie is just sitting right there. So I don't know. Maybe that's how the little girl got cocaine in her system. If she was playing with the baggie of drugs exposed to the bathroom, she's like, "What the fuck is this?" and like pulled at it, and then got it on her. But then I don't know. It was a high test rate, so it couldn't be that much. But apparently there are little baggies of drugs just floating about in the ether of the house. So the safe is opened up and the contents are spread across the top of the toilet bowl for testing and evidence collecting. We can see a scale, blue snort tubes, and very dirty Ziplocs with cards and powders in them. At 10:19, he tests the cards and bags in one of the Ziplocs and it tests positive for cocaine. We now start bagging all the objects in the bathroom safe and calling them out as evidence. Evidence 8, large corner cut. This is what they call the large bag with a huge amount of white substance in it. He says they will test it when they get back. Evidence 9, Ziploc baggie containing multiple baggies. One baggie has powder and it has KKK written on it. Evidence 10, Ziploc baggie containing multiple baggies with powder. Evidence 11 is a digital scale. Evidence 12 is a metal object, a funnel. The officers are unsure, containing powder. Evidence 13, 2 snort tubes, plastic straws, and 2 cutters. After packing up all the contents in the safe at 10:23, we head back downstairs to the studio and continue testing. He goes through some drawers and they're just packed with objects and loose documents. At 10:25, they continue to search the library that is outside the studio room. Then we go back into the bathroom to double check for any evidence. We get a sight of a skeleton model that is just hanging out in the open space of the living room. We also see a dining room table, ? By the windows, just completely covered in junk and food packages. So apparently there is a spooky, scary skeleton that is not Kayla and not Rakeda and not April. That is like a prop Halloween object that is just chilling out in the living area of the main room. And that was Nick. He was watching them. At 10:26, we head into the bathroom with a hot tub. Oddly, even though it was a ton of stuff in here as well, the floor is pretty clear of junk and is the cleanest of the rooms. There are so many lotion and makeup products all over the counters, and of course, more booze bottles, empty and half full on the counter and windowsills. There are many windows in the entire house that just have booze bottles on them. At 10:23, we're still digging through the hot tub room. They head into some kind of laundry room, and it barely has any visible floor, just piles of clothes and filled laundry baskets. There's a halfway window, and there are 2 bottles of booze, and right next to them on the same windowsill, there is a little teddy bear figurine. Sad, she says. I cannot tell what kind of room we are in at 10:38, but it seems to be some kind of closet or bedroom. It has more shelves and more clothes. There is a huge rack of so many adult clothes right in the middle. He digs through the random trinket box and finds another bullet inside that he takes as evidence. All caps, louder with Crowder mug spotted at 3340 Lamau. So I think this is the real takeaway. This is the real lesson here, chat. Uh, Nick Rekieta is in the Mug Club. He is louder with Crowder, supporting his fellow Rumble streamers. as he wakes up in the morning and he stumbles out of bed and he takes his morning bump and he goes to the coffee maker, he's pouring that straight into his louder with Crowder mug. Welcome to the Mug Club. At 10:36, we find another safe, and the officer searches for Kayla to get the code so they don't have to bust it open, like he said. We then head back to the garage right before it crashes on me, and the officer says that they found 2 handguns hanging out in the garage. So it's unclear if the handguns were in the safe or not, but that was one of the things they wanted to look at. They wanted to see if it was actually in the safe or not. And then it ends at 10:37:27, which I think is very, very close to the end. So I was right. About 15 minutes of the footage is left out. I think the footage ends at 11. So about 23 minutes is left out of this one. And then the other one is just the first hour, again, by the same woman who made these notes. And that's all, chat. That is the notes of the body cam footage. Unfortunately, I couldn't get 3 for 2, as I said, because the county is acting very swiftly to prevent access to the footage. And now it is the uphill battle of undoing the thing that already happened, preserving evidence, and suing Candy, Ohio County for denying us what we have a right to access. That's stupid.